I've read 100 books in 2024 so far. These are my top 10. Also, hi, if you don't know me, my name is Max. I write books under the pen name Gemma Tate, and let's get right into it. Book number 1 on this list for me, Emily Wilde's Encyclopedia of Fairies by Heather Fawcett. It's everything I love. My original background is in history and anthropology, and this book is basically a giant ethnography crossed with a rom-com, crossed with old school folklore. Like, that is everything I love. It is zero surprise to anybody that this is my favorite thing I've read all year, maybe over the last couple of years. Book number 2, also not a surprise to anybody who knows me, is The Black Count by Tom Rees. It is nonfiction. Again, that original background is history. I read a lot of nonfiction. This one is actually like double interests of mine. It goes into the history of Alexandre Dumas and his father. Dumas wrote both Three Musketeers and The Count of Monte Cristo. It turns out he based the majority of The Count of Monte Cristo on his father's own life, and his dad was a black soldier in Napoleon's army, not just a soldier, an officer, in a time when like racism should have made that impossible. And it's a really incredible story, and the research that's been done into it is really meticulous, and Rees is a really excellent author, and yeah, this book won a Pulitzer, so read it. Number 3, also not a surprise, really. None of this list should be surprising to anybody. Funny Story by Emily Henry. I was really glad that I liked Funny Story because of how much I hated Happy Place. I'm sorry, I try really hard to not shit talk other authors. I love Emily Henry. I hated Happy Place. That said, Funny Story, really good, loved it. Number 4, The No Girlfriend Rule by Kristen Randall. It's a D&D rom-com, and also it's gay, and also it like has some really important things to say about what the culture of D&D can be like if you're used to dealing with all male groups that are like more traditional but also way less inclusive. And did I mention that it's a super cute rom-com? Everything I love. Number 5, Divine Rivals by Rebecca Ross. Again, nobody should be surprised at how much I loved this. It was, I mean, there's romance, which is fun, but it's also a story about, you know, war and the choices that people make and the stakes of what it means to fall in love during a war. And like, yeah. Number 6, The Bright Sword by Lev Grossman. Lev Grossman wrote The Magicians, which I really liked, except for how much I hated his main character. That's kind of true here too, except that this time I think that you're supposed to not like the main character, which was not true for Magicians. It's basically just Lev Grossman's take on Arthurian mythology and Camelot, and I really like his take on Nimue, and I've always said that I'm surprised at how well Lev Grossman writes some women, because they're not the ones that I would expect him to write well, and yet he does. And this is another good example of that. I really like his take on Nimue. I really like his take on the Nimue-Merlin relationship. Number 7, We Ride Upon Styx by Quan Barry. Listen, I have said for a long time, I'm pretty sure I have a video of it on here, that everybody needs to read weirder books. I think, personally, that the internet and BookTube and BookTok would be better places if everybody read weirder books and people would have fewer reading slumps. We Ride Upon Styx is freaking weird. It's the kind of weird that I really like. It's like vaguely feminist horror weird. It deals with team dynamics and the very particular weirdness that is being on a very, very close-knit, very, very competitive sports team when you're in high school. And also, it's like weird in the same vein as Mona Awad's books, and I loved it. Number 8, also in that kind of weird book category, Whalefall by Daniel Kraus. I loved this book so much. It's basically a story about a guy who gets swallowed by a whale, but in like a very realistic, almost Andy Weir doing The Martian kind of realistic story. Like, there's so much meticulous research that was done into the science of what happens when you get eaten by a whale. And also it's this incredible overarching metaphor about parent-child dynamics and grief. Number 9, I finished reading this one literally today, right before I sat down to film this video. Wind and Truth by Brandon Sanderson. I've been waiting on this book for literal years. I think that everybody who knew me knew that this was going to be on this list. I mean, it's Sanderson. The world building is there. He's gotten so much better at writing characters, particularly female characters, and also queer relationships. He's gotten better at that, like a lot better. Did not expect that. So yeah, it's on this list. Really enjoyed it. Really love what he's doing with the politics of the overarching world that he's built. And also, like, it has Nightblood in it, and Nightblood is my favorite character that man has ever written. Number 10, Castiel's Servant by Jacqueline Carey. You know, I really thought about not putting that book on this list because it doesn't do anything new with its storytelling. It is exactly just Coshiel's Dart, but from Jocelyn's point of view. But the reason why it is on here is because it was the first book that I read this year. It was the one that I was the most excited for this year. And it made me go back and reread the entire Coshiel's Legacy series. And it made me remember just why I loved it so much when I read it the first time and why I still find it so foundational to my reading habits and a lot of just my taste in books now. All right, honorable mentions. A couple weeks ago, I read Taste by Stanley Tucci. And honestly, is it the best writing I've ever read? No. But did it make me crave really high quality pasta with very expensive olive oil for like 2 weeks straight? Yes. Number 2 on the runner-up list is The 7-Year Slip by Ashley Poston. I like Ashley Poston's work. Her most recent adult books are exactly what I've been looking for as a grown-up who really misses just the fun of YA rom-coms. And her current adult books are exactly that, just, with sex. And runner-up number 3 is the Farseer trilogy by Robin Hobb. I've been getting really into Robin Hobb this year, and I really loved books 2 and 3 of the Farseer trilogy. I have middling feelings on the first book, actually. I had like a good 6 weeks between reading that and getting to the other 2 books in the series. Night Eyes and also Patience are just iconic characters that I am probably going to be thinking about and referencing for a very, very long time. Okay, if you are still here, then I am assuming that your taste is similar to mine. Please consider subscribing and turning post notifications on and maybe liking this video. I am new to this platform, but I'm really looking forward to building a little nerd community on here, and any engagement whatsoever from you guys is a huge part of that. All right, I will see you in the next one. Bye.